Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This inspirational poem, inscribed on the Statue of Liberty, prompted many immigrants to enter through the golden door. This message of hope and possibility was not only engraved on the Statue of Liberty, but also foremost in the minds of immigrants as they came to America. The United States offered scores of opportunities to its new citizens, especially those from Europe. One of the largest groups of immigrants coming into the United States in the mid to late 1800s was from Germany. In the century from 1820 to 1924, an estimated 5.7 million people immigrated into the United States. Different factors contributed to the arrival of these immigrants, but their overall presence would come to characterize the place they inhabited. A 1910 census report concluded that 8.3 million German-speaking citizens were living in the United States. Other factors pulling immigrants to the United States included the desire for land, religious freedom, family encouragement, and simply the American dream. The legacy of German heritage in America is still evident in many places, especially across the Midwest. Evansville, Indiana, exhibits a substantial influence of that German inheritance, which is still seen today. The rural settings and land quality of southwestern Indiana influenced many Germans to seek residence in and around Evansville. By 1900, an estimated 40% of the residents of Vanderburgh County were either German immigrants or had at least one parent of German ancestry. With the political unification movement in Germany during the mid-1800s, many Catholics felt unwelcome. When these Catholic immigrants arrived in America, their churches became highly important. For newly arrived Protestants, religion was highly important as well. It provided a place to socialize and to worship. Many different churches were established in Evansville, mainly in the more dominant German areas of Lamasco, Independence, and West Heights. Some of the more notable German churches include St. Boniface Catholic, Zion Evangelical, Trinity, and Emmanuel Lutheran. While their religious beliefs and traditions differed, the church's overall importance to the community was the same. Sometimes the churches even offered a physical connection to the old homeland. These churches provide strong evidence of German heritage in Evansville. German heritage is also evident in the names of streets, parks, and schools. Many names came from prominent German business leaders and politicians. Weinbach Avenue and Sontag Avenue remind visitors of our German roots. Helfrich Park Golf Course, as well as Helfrich Park Middle School, are named for an important West Side family. Other schools, such as F.J. Reitz High School, Benjamin Bosse High School, and Daniel Wirtz Elementary Schools, carry the names of other well-known citizens of German descent. The German language was also kept alive in the region through newspapers that catered to the newly arrived immigrants. There were over 152 newspapers in circulation in Indiana at one time, including the highly popular Evansville Taglischer Demokrat. The daily had a circulation of over 5,000 readers. While the churches offered various social activities, there were separate clubs and organizations established outside the church, but within the community. The most notable of these were two singing societies, the Germania Männerchor and the Liederkranz Männerchor. The purpose of these singing societies was to gather together and celebrate the old folk music of Germany while also becoming involved with the community. Along with the two singing societies, the Central Turnverein, often referred to as the German gymnastics movement, appeared in America as early as the mid-1800s. It was developed near Berlin in the early 1800s to help encourage physical, cultural, and patriotic activities. The Evansville organization opened in 1897 and remained a popular gathering place until the 1970s. Evansville schools promoted the idea of the Turnverein by holding the annual Field Day in May. These competitions would usually take place at the Louisiana Street grounds and later Bosse Field, with large numbers of students coming in to compete. Other means of socializing, including the two farmers' markets located at 1st Avenue and 4th Street. At the farmers' market, German farmers would bring in their goods to sell to city folk. Commonly sold items included meats and sausages, as well as homemade wines, produce, and dairy products. A widely anticipated event in Evansville before World War I was the German Day celebration. It was held in early October, starting off with an extravagant parade on Main Street and finishing with a community picnic at Mesker Park. It brought out the true German heritage with a combination of beer, music, and food. With the U.S. entry into the Great War in 1917, German Day was terminated and later forgotten. In Evansville today, there are two festivals that take place in August and October. The Volksfest is Germania Manor Corps' public celebration of German heritage. This three-day event, occurring in early August, has offered traditional German foods and music along with plenty of refreshment in the large beer garden behind the Germania Manor Corps. It is one of the few German celebrations in Evansville that was carried past the war and survived to the present. In October, the Westside Nut Club holds its Fall Festival. While the Fall Festival is not specifically German, its placement in the fall by the German businessmen who founded the club in the 1920s harkens back to the traditional German Oktoberfest celebration. When the United States joined the First World War, an assault on German heritage began. Anything German fell under suspicion. This assault, sometimes resulting in violence, occurred all over the United States. In Collinsville, Illinois, a German miner was lynched by a mob for treacherous remarks. While violence never rose to that level in Evansville, there were many accusations made against residents of German descent. Many in Evansville tried as best they could to conceal various forms of German ethnicity. To prove their patriotism, prominent residents with German ties often participated in war bond drives. Alien enemies, or resident aliens from Germany, were ordered to register with the Evansville police. Those who failed to register were reported to the authorities in Indianapolis. Some Germans were accused of disloyalty, which was a crime under the Espionage Act. Charles Meyer, whose parents had immigrated to America, was forced to kiss an American flag by his co-workers of the Indiana Central Railroad to prove his loyalty. In April 1918, Evansville schools dropped their German classes, and teachers were forced to pledge a loyalty oath. In one particular event, Dr. John Schneider was forced from the Evansville School Board because he did not sufficiently support America's prosecution of the war. German was not only discontinued in school, but also in the church services of Evansville. Soon, organizations closely tied to the German traditions began to suffer due to the war. The Taglischer Demokrat and other German newspapers were closed down. The Liederkranz Manor Corps was closed, and the Germania Manor Corps suffered a drop in membership. Between World War I and Prohibition, Evansville lost much of its Old World connection. While historical events have altered the course of German heritage, there is still much evidence throughout Evansville that reminds us of our roots. It is displayed in the names and architecture of many churches throughout the area. In addition to the buildings scattered all over the region, the Germania Manor Corps building still stands on Fulton Avenue. Its choir performs for the community, and the building provides needed space for concerts and dances. With the preservation of the Germania Manor Corps, their Volksfest was also saved. Every August, Evansville celebrates the tradition of the Volksfest, and the honor of tapping the first keg is often carried out by the mayor. There has been something of a rebirth in awareness of our German culture. Most high schools offer students German as a foreign language, and one of the more popular courses at F.J. Reitz is German. You can also find many traditional German dishes on restaurant menus throughout the area. One restaurant, the Gersthaus restaurant on Franklin Street, has a whole menu dedicated to German cuisine. While you can no longer find a newspaper printed in German in Evansville, or hear many people on the street speaking German, you can still experience many remnants of our German past.